Today we will address the spiritual aspects of war. Some of you will say, what can possibly be about war that could be even vaguely spiritual? And we tell you, there are those who, when they personalize God, then will say such things as, how could an all-merciful and all-loving God allow these things to happen? But we tell you, God does not allow these things to happen. You, as humanity, make these things happen. And war, just like disease, is hurtful and harmful and unnecessary. But it is a part of the world in which you live. Buddha taught that life is suffering. And St. Paul suggested that it was better to suffer in this world, in this life, than it was to suffer in the next. So what was it that St. Paul was actually teaching? He was teaching that if you suffered in this life, you were burning off the negative attributes. You were burning off, so to speak, the negative karma that you had built in this or previous lives. So too would Buddha have said the same about suffering, and yet all of the masters have taught that the goal is to find enlightenment, to reach beyond suffering. There are those who have taught inappropriately that there are just wars. There is no more a just war than there is a just disease or illness. Such just does not exist. The church used it conveniently to find a sweet spot of acceptance with powerful rulers who wanted to dominate the world or gain wealth or to have for their purposes resources. This is then why such was permitted. But there is no such thing as a just war. There is no such thing as a good war. There is no such thing as a just disease or a good illness. They may bring about benefits to individuals at times. But be real. War is suffering. Everyone loses. Even the perceived winner loses when there is warfare. For there cannot be a winner when people are oppressed. There cannot be a winner when resources and lives are destroyed. And there cannot be a winner when those who seek to oppress are actually darkening their own souls and destroying, taking away life, spirit, life force from other individuals. So then, what is it that you can say beside this? In Malkuth, there must be a balance. Whenever in the Kabbalah there is an imbalance, there is then an evil. For balance is good and imbalance is evil. And too much of what you perceive as a good thing may seem like a just reason to do something, but ultimately it leads to destruction. So if you think holding rigidly to this law or to that cause is a good thing, and you do so to the point of inflexibility, ultimately it will lead to conflict and destruction because of imbalance. And imbalance is the causation of war, it is the causation of evil, it is the causation of destruction. Realize this: all of the things that exist in your world belong to all that are in the world. There is not a reason that anyone should be hungry. There is not a reason that anyone should be malnourished. There is no reason that anyone who desires an education should lack an education. There is no reason for people to be cold. There is no reason for people to be ill-mannered. There is no reason for any of the social inequities in your world other than the fact that you create them. You create inequities based on skin color. You create inequities based on obesity or skinniness. You create inequities based on appearance. You create social inequities on desires, on whim, on foolishness. Why do you do these things? Because you want to appear more important, because you want to have the oil or the iron or the base metals. You do these things because you want to have the trace elements or the fastest jets or the best computers. And all of these things are temporary. And suffering too is temporary, for it is the body that suffers. Do you feel pain outside of the physical? Is not your spirit beyond pain? And yet your spirit is what can be darkened into the greatest agony, because you can lock it into the physical, where it no longer experiences the bliss, the exalted joy of the divine. So, how can you speak of war as being spiritual? Well, we will tell you this: war is not meant to be. Man was meant to live in peace. But if you look even at primates, you will see that monkeys and gorillas will fight for territory. And if you look at dogs and lions, you will see they fight amongst their own kind for territory and dominance. And humans have very little above their bestial natures. Very little above. Despite the fact that the very spirit of the divine dwells in humanity, despite the fact that the same force that moves angels and angelic beings dwells within humanity, instead of it lifting people up, people too often pull that force down and use it for their animal natures. This is the way that humanity becomes trapped in Malkuth. This is the way that you become trapped in the hell of your own making. This is the way you become trapped in an incarnational cycle, life after life, suffering and creating the same situations again and again and again. We are here to tell you that you can be free from all of this if you will but turn and realize that there is only one religion, there is only one truth, and that is love. And war is not an expression of love. It is not an expression of God. It is not divine. It is not a divine punishment upon humankind. It is human folly. And how do you break beyond that folly? You break beyond that folly by the individual peace that each of you finds. And when enough have found peace, and enough of you have found peace, the energy that you put forth will raise the consciousness of all peoples, so that one man cannot, shall not be able to again create such disaster. But as long as people continue to seek after self-fulfillment and aggrandizement and seek for material things, this shall continue to create the forces that move evil. For what happens? From whence comes the word genie or jinn? How is a shedam created? It is the negative thoughts, the thoughts that are again and again put out. You are building energies, building forces. And when someone opens themselves to the force that has been built, it can move through them. And that means that that individual then opens something that can no longer be controlled. You have seen this happen in various movements. This is what happens in fascist movements. This is what happened in Nazi Germany. This is what happens even in democratic societies when populist movements go too far to the right, or ultimately too far to the left. What happens is they start moving on an energy, feeding an energy again and again and again. You have heard it said that leadership is like riding a tiger. And the goal ultimately is to keep that tiger from turning and devouring you. So you must keep riding it. What is this? This is the force that you are manifesting. It is the force that humanity manifests through its greed, through its lust, through its avarice. And that is why prayer and meditation is so important. When you pray again and again and again, you are not most importantly changing the world. You are most importantly changing yourself, your thoughts, your inner being. And when you meditate, those energies that you are building in yourself likewise are building that which you would consider the better angels, the better forces, the guardian angels, the protectors of the world. That which stands against the negative that is built. And yes, it is true that good always wins over evil, and that love always prevails over darkness. But darkness is that which has the easier hold, because you are in Malkuth. Your body is of this world, and your spirit is of the world beyond. That is why it is so important that you be connected to the Spirit, that yourself might reach unto Tifareth. That is why it is so important that the Spirit flow down to you, the Holy Spirit, the essence, the Vishnu of being, flowing down, that you might commune with the higher essence of your being. So, we tell you this: war is not a punishment from God. It is a man-made thing. And if man makes it, man can stop it. Now, let us speak real quickly on another related principle, and that is prophecy. If there are prophets and they prophesy this war or that war, does it mean a war must occur? No. Prophecy would be absolutely useless if when a prophet spoke to you, they simply told you what must occur. What would that do? Allow a few people to prepare and take advantage of the bad things? Prophecy is not given because things must occur. Prophecy is given because things can be changed. Things can be avoided. Things that are prophesied can be actually eliminated. The job of a prophet is not to see something happen when they say it will happen, but the job of a prophet is to give a warning so intense that it can be avoided. So as you now are careening toward World War III, because of what Putin is doing in the Ukraine, we tell you now, it can all be avoided. There would be no point in any prophecies concerning this if it could not be altered. God loves you, but what is God? Yet, if it makes you happy to see God in a personalized sense, then we tell you this. If you suffer here, you are purifying and cleansing the essence of your being. If you hurt, you will be healed. If you are hungry, you will be fed. Your soul is so much more than your physical body. Nourish your soul with prayer and meditation, and no death can come to you. However, if you refuse to see yourself as anything more than the physical essence of your being, then when the silver cord is cut and you are let loose from your body, how confused will you be, spinning in space, not knowing whence you have come from or to whence you shall return, until you are shown the way. But if you actually reach out and find the essence of your being, then even now in your decaying body you will be set free, because the essence of the divine will have been touched. We know that for some of you we speak in riddles, but the truth is so important for you to grasp, and we cannot overemphasize how important it is that you should pray and meditate. But understand this: all prayer is not crawling around on your knees, nor is all meditation swirling and twirling about to beautiful music while you induce a trance. No, some of the most profound prayers are acts of charity and love when you see others in true need. And some of the most profound meditations are those thoughts of what you can do to better the world, are your thoughts of how to benefit others. For these are active prayers building towards good. These are active meditations building towards a bridge from this world to the next, They are love. And love is the most powerful prayer. Love is the most powerful meditation. With that thought, go and be in peace. We leave you with blessings and with peace. No harm can come to a spirit that has found peace and love.